Hello guys, hope you are well. It's Mark here, back with another Microsoft Flight Simulator full flight video today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk through it and we'll jump in. So we are on the ground here, as you can probably tell by the livery as well as the scene behind the aircraft. We're on the ground at the new iniBuilds Abu Dhabi scenery, which was just recently released just a couple days prior to me filming this video. So I haven't checked it out yet. This is literally the first time I've loaded into the scenery. I did make some changes in the configurator, which I usually do with most of the iniBuilds airports, just to improve the performance a little bit. I believe I removed the terminal interiors and static aircraft, and then kind of some of the general just like clutter, which is nice to see around the airport, but sometimes can cause performance issues. But other than that, so far so good. So we're back in the HorizonSim 787-9 and this beautiful Etihad livery. This livery comes from Flightsim.to. It's the top-rated Etihad one. I'm using the 4K version. There's an 8K version that is absolutely huge. It's like 2 gigabytes for livery, which is pretty crazy, but this one looks pretty darn good, so I just went with the 4K. So we're gonna do an ultra long haul this time at another kind of period here where I had some extra time, so I figured we might as well check out this scenery and fly this aircraft, not to, but close to its maximum range. We're going to be a fair bit short of that, but we're flying from Abu Dhabi over to Washington Dulles. Take a peek at our flight plan, and we can see that our block time is scheduled at 14 hours and 29 minutes, so that's pretty hefty flight time for this airplane. So I haven't really gotten anything set up in the cockpit other than power on and some of the basic lights, nav and logo light on. And as you can see, GSX is boarding everyone and the cargo, so we'll go ahead and jump in and get going here. So one other thing to mention, the arrival airport scenery into Washington Dulles is Flightbeam, of course. So alright, quick check of the overhead panel here. I did align the IRSs and they should be finished up by now as well. But let's go ahead with everything else. I'm going to go ahead and start the APU because it's mid-morning here around 10:15 or so, but it's going to be quite warm, so we'll want that. So we'll go ahead and start the APU. Ground power is all on. Flight deck door power can come on. Emergency lights can be on. Service interphone, we can't flip that here. Window heats, we'll go ahead and put on auto. Hydraulics, like I usually do, I'm just going to go ahead and put those to auto as well. We haven't actually fueled the airplane. We'll look at that in the FMS in a second, so I'm going to leave passenger signs off and fuel pumps off as well, since we're still going to add fuel into the airplane. Any ices can come to auto. Packs will go ahead and get on, since we're going to be using that APU shortly. Cool, and that looks good for overhead panel setup. So we'll jump down here and we'll head to the settings and we'll get everything loaded up here. Just make sure everything is set here. That all looks good. So weight and balance. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set from our OFP, but I will be adding some fuel to this number here because we're running the APU early on as well, plus on a flight this long and one that's westbound and going to be having a headwind the majority of the flight. I'm worried about running out of fuel because sometimes this airplane, even with the proper sim brief, profile, the fuel burn can be a little bit funky. So we're scheduled for a block fuel of 200,520 pounds. Probably should be in kilograms, but I went ahead and did the flight plan in pounds, so we'll just leave it at that. We do have 20 minutes of contingency built on board, as well as our alternate fuel to JFK of 42 minutes. I'm thinking I might want to add about another hour of fuel just to be safe. So if we kind of roughly base it off that, we'll just add another, 10,000 pounds. So we'll do, yeah, we'll go with that. We'll do 210,500 pounds on board. So we'll do 210,500, upload that extra fuel. Cool, so that should be good. That all looks good. Let's see, is there a fuel weight? Yeah, that looks proper. Sweet. So with that being done, since we're not going to do any sort of fueling with GSX or anything like that, seatbelt signs, we'll flip those to on, and we can pressurize the fuel pumps. We're definitely going to have fuel in the center tank with a flight as long as today's. Sweet. All right. I am going to set this, and we'll hit the magic bear reference key. Sweet. Before we actually start loading in the FMS, we'll take a peek at the actual route here in Navigraph, so you can see quite a long flight for sure. So we're going to depart here in Abu Dhabi. We're expecting runway 13 left via the Daxi 1 Foxtrot departure, which looks like this. Once we reach 500 feet, we're going to make a left turn heading 097, which tracks us to this fix, Alpha 836. Then we're going to make a series of left turns out here, and we'll stay north of the city of Abu Dhabi. Actually going to be pretty close to Dubai. We might see some of the man-made islands out there. But once we're off the coast of the UAE there, we're going to track up the Arabian Gulf north of Qatar and Bahrain, through Kuwait, across most of Iraq, Turkey, good portion of Eastern and Central Europe, the UK, Ireland, and then on our North Atlantic track over Newfoundland and New England down into Washington Dulles. We're expecting at this point arrival on one right. Obviously that is more than 14 hours from now, so a lot can change, so that may or may not happen, but that's what we'll load in as our planned arrival for now. Sweet, so let's go ahead and get things going here. We will go to the ident page, just check everything out here. We got the GE engines. Nav database is good until February 21st. It is the 15th today. Sweet. Pause init. Our current location is at Abu Dhabi, Oscar Mike Alpha Alpha. That checks. Now we got the GPS position loaded in. Sweet. We'll go to our route and we'll pull our SimBrief route request. Anytime now. There it is, and we'll load that in. You should see Abu Dhabi to Washington Dulles, Etihad 131 is the flight number today. Runway 13 left is our expected departure. Sweet, I'm gonna go ahead and load in departure and arrival now as well. 13 left is loaded in. Daxi 1 Foxtrot departure. Arrival into Dulles. We'll just take a peek at our flight plan here. Hyper 8 via Alpha Lima Bravo to 1 right. So we are the Hyper 8, Alpha Lima Bravo, ILS 1 right will be the plan for now. Do we want to transition to the approach? So Tycon there. Well, let's take a look here. Oops, that is not what I want. LS1 right. Doesn't look like, no, it doesn't really look like we'll take an approach via, so we'll just leave that off and kind of vector ourselves onto the approach. So that looks good. We will go to the plan page and the legs page down here, and we'll kind of step through let's see, what did I do here? Something happened to the route there. I was trying to step through, check everything. That didn't work out. Let's see, we'll have to request it again. 3 left. Departure and arrival. Taxi 1 Foxtrot. 1 right. It's Alpha Lima Bravo. Did it not? Oh, it's because it didn't actually go to the plan page. I'm an idiot. Alright, there we go. That's what we're looking for. Alright, so there's our departure, left turn out on the SID. We'll just check and make sure we don't have any discontinuities or anything that looks funky. Starting to head more westerly here as we cross the Atlantic. And down south towards Washington, and yeah, we'll just take vectors from that point. So that looks great. So we can go ahead and execute our route then. Looks good, sweet. Performance page. 0 fuel weight, we'll go ahead and load in. Fuel reserves, we'll take a look at our OFP here. Final reserve is 20.8. We'll go ahead and put that in. It sometimes will throw like insufficient fuel markers at you depending on what you put there. We'll just do the final reserve. A lot of times you'd add your alternate in any contingency, but that's when I tend to get those issues, so we'll just leave it there. Cruise altitude is flight level 340 initially. You can see here at the top of the flight plan we've got several steps. That's another reason I'm kind of bringing some extra fuel, because I'm not going to do all of them. I'm going to do most of this flight, or at least a good portion of it, overnight. So I really won't be stepping up probably until tomorrow morning my time at some point. And we'll figure out where we're at and where we need to step it to. But we do have some steps involved there. Cool. So the cost index is, I put it on long range cruise there. So hold on 1 second. Alright, I had to do some research there to figure out what cost index you'd kind of use for a long range cruise type situation in the 787. Apparently there's not a specific one, but what I kind of read was 30 or so, so we'll use that for now, see where that puts us on fuel once the pre-flight calculations and everything is complete. Cool. Alright, in one, our thrust reference page. So we'll go over here, we'll initialize the flight on the EFB. 13 left, no intersection. Dry. We'll get a weather update because I have not checked in a little bit. So it's 160 at 15, 28 degrees Celsius on the temperature, and 1017. Cool. I can't remember what the wind was. 160 at 15, is in, outside air temperature 28, 0 fuel weights, 365, 200. Thought that was higher. It is. It's supposed to be 330, 845. And our takeoff weight, or our gross weight, is 575.6, which that checks. And our CG is 16.97, so we'll just round that up to 17. Thrust rating, we'll go with optimum. Flaps, optimum as well. Anti-ice will be off for departure, and we'll calculate. Planned weight exceeds max allowable. Interesting. Well, I suppose we'll have to take some cargo off the airplane. So that means we need about 15,000 pounds off. So that would put us all the way down at basically 10,000 pounds cargo. No, it's gonna be less than that, right? What was the max? 561. So, oh yeah, I did. Wait, what? 10,000. Okay, that's, yeah. That's more like it. So our zero fuel weight, that's why. The zero fuel weight was loaded in from the OFP, but it got messed up there. No, it still won't take it properly. 30845. Gross weight is 541.4. Optimum flaps. CG of 20.6. That'll give us a number. Cool. Alright, glad we figured that out. That was a little bit strange. Alright, perfect. So it is a TO2 with a selected tip of 37. Apparently, that seems a little bit low, but we will go with it. We'll trust the EFB. TO2, I'm going to do climb 1 on that since we're so heavy. Perfect. Alright, take off. What's the flap setting it wants us to use? Just flap 5. We'll load in our CG, flap 5. And our speeds are different. I'm gonna take these. What is going on here? our gross weight is showing differently. So I feel like I want to trust this one and what we calculated with and go with these speeds. So we're going to do that 167. And 173, 178. Cool. Take off gross weight. Okay, yeah, there we go. Duh. And that should actually be 168. That looks better. Sweet. Alright, that is good. Awesome. Something we need to do is VNav page and request our forecast winds for the climb, cruise, and descent for now. We'll load those. Sweet. Cruise. Descent will load. And then route data will load the winds in there as well. Sweet. Alright, we'll go to the progress page. As of now, it's saying we'll have plenty of fuel, so hopefully that will continue to be the case. We'll go legs page up on the first officer side. Progress page will go away for now. We'll be on the takeoff page for now. Alright. Well, had a little bit of an issue there, but FMS is essentially set up. Boarding is now completed. So we'll get everything set up here. We're going to take traffic over here. Everything else should be good. We'll arm the auto throttles. We're going to set 178. Right here it's an RNAV departure, so we'll take LNAV. It doesn't want to do LNAV for us. So we'll leave that off for now, and we'll set what do I want to say here? I guess we'll set that 097 because it's going to be a very short straight out before that left turn. I keep hitting the wrong thing there. We're struggling today. Alright, 097. Initial climb on our departure as well is 4,000 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and set that, but we'll switch it pretty quickly because even when we're that heavy, we're going to reach that altitude relatively quickly. Flight directors on, and we'll grab traffic over here as well. Auto brake can go to RTO. Perfect. APU is now running, so we actually don't need these external powers anymore, so we'll shut those guys off. And with that, we are pretty much ready to go. So we will go ahead and ask GSX to prepare us for pushback and departure. And we'll head back over here on the map to Abu Dhabi. So we're located gate 630 right here, departing off 13 left. So we're going to push back facing the southeast there, and we'll taxi on Lima out to Bravo. And we'll take Bravo all the way to the end for departure. Now ready for departure. We'll go ahead and flip the beacon light on, and we'll start running through our checklist here to finish up. So pre-flight is complete. For start checklist, passenger signs are on. The MCP we just set. Takeoff speeds are confirmed, so your pre-flight's completed. Trim, what do we need for the trim? 7.75. So little nose forward trim, that is set. Taxi takeoff briefing, we just did, that is complete. Cool.
Locking gear.
All right. We want nose left. So I wonder if that's the standard. Because that's the only option on the official GSX profile. So we'll take that since that's the official option, and then we'll just head out of the ramp the other way. Cool. Well, we'll go ahead and release the parking brake, and we'll get going here.
All engines clear. Start at will.
I'm not going to bother with the clock because it's kind of broken on this airplane. Beacon is on. Sweet. We'll go ahead and do a simultaneous auto start. Got into move in. So we'll turn the fuel on both engines. So let's double check. Oh, it'll take LNAV now, so we'll do that. That's fine. If LNAV was not working, we'd put a heading select on and just kind of do that initial turn manually. But no need at this point. Alright, we got good start on both engines. Make sure our throttle's set to idle. So far so good on performance. The scenery seems to be on the better end of performance for iniBuilds standards at least, and in general just seems nice and smooth.
Set parking brakes.
Alright, parking brake set. Push is complete. After start checklist, anti-ice is auto recall. Just TCAS warning, we'll get that in a second. Flight controls, we'll go ahead and check that. Do that over on this page, system and flight controls. Ailerons full left, full right, neutral, elevators full up, full down, neutral, rotor full right, left, and neutral. Flight controls are checked. Ground equipment, wait for that. APU, don't need that anymore, that can come off. We'll do a quick flow up here. Everything is pretty much set. Packs are on.
Tow truck disconnected. 5 passenger.
Alright. Our
Left is
equipment
clear.
is
Right
clear.
is clear.
Sweet. We'll go and set flaps 5. Transponder, I'm going to go ahead and set TARA just so we don't have to worry about it. Not using ATC or anything today. Cool. That all looks good down on that panel. We'll take the turn off and the taxi lights on. For takeoff checklist is complete as well. So we can shut out of the checklist menu and we'll get ready for a taxi. So we're going to spin it around this direction and then we'll take Lima to Bravo 213 left. We are ready to roll. Parking brake can come off. Alright, we're just about to pull up to runway 13 left. We're going to take the farthest taxiway intersection, take the full length today since we are obviously quite heavy. And we're still using a takeoff to derate, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we don't end up off the end of the runway, but I'll trust the EFB that it did that calculation correctly once we kind of got the weights figured out there. Anyways, we'll go ahead and chime the cabin, make sure everyone's ready and seated since we are ready for takeoff. I don't see any AI traffic. Actually, I do see an AI traffic out there on final, so we'll get to watch them land. And then we'll take the runway for departure shortly after. Kind of lost in the haze out there, almost didn't see him. Go ahead and pull to a stop. Looks like Etihad A320. Cool. We'll go ahead and say we're cleared to line up and wait. So I'll add some power as I pull on the runway here. Landing lights and strobe lights can come on. Rest of the approach path looks clear. Auto throttle is armed. We got LNAV and VNAV. Transponder TARA. Brakes RTO, everything is set. Just waiting for that guy to hopefully exit the runway at some point. Apparently taxiing all the way down to the end. There he goes. Wait for him to be fully clear, which he is just nearly there now. And we will get going without further ado. Alrighty. Bump up throttle around 50% or so. Stable. If I can find the click spot, there it goes. And toga. We got thrust reference and toga. Airspeed's alive. Thrust is set. There's 80 knots. Checks. Oh boy. Luckily we got a long runway. There's B1. There's rotate. And we're off. Positive rate of climb. Gear coming up. It's going to be a pretty shallow climb at as we start here. Waiting for 500 feet. There's 500 feet and LNAV. And we'll take that left turn. Beautiful. Need a little extra nose down trim here. Sweet, I'm gonna go ahead and take the autopilot so we can have some views of beautiful Abu Dhabi. We'll see if we'll get any views of the island that iniBuilds had a scenery for as well. Once we get our left turn coming. Cool. Through flap 5, we'll take flap 1. I'm going to go ahead and bump our altitude up to flight level 340. Do a few alt intervenes there to clear out any of the restrictions. And we'll hold on to flaps 1 for a little bit here. So we can accelerate to 250. What should be after this initial fix. Beautiful. That is definitely screenshot worthy. That could fool someone to think that's real. That's pretty amazing. It's hard to believe coming from where we were in like P3D and stuff just a few years ago. Now what we have in flight simulation. It's pretty crazy. Alright, we'll go ahead and start cleaning things up here. We'll take the taxi and the turn off lights off. Our transition altitude is 13,000, so we got a ways to go on that. That's actually kind of mind-blowing how good this looks. I've never actually flown in this area, flown into Dubai. You know, not making a video, but a time or two, and it looked really good as well. But this looks incredible. You're departing Abu Dhabi. There's the airport off in the distance there as we kind of climb above the haze here. Accelerated 250. Here comes 10,000 feet. I will take landing lights off, and Screw will take seatbelts off as well. It seems relatively smooth at the time being. That might just be a thumbnail right there. What a beautiful aircraft. It's a beautiful part of the world as well. Cool. Well, here comes transition altitude. We'll set standard on our way up to flight level 340. Let's hit the progress page here. What I didn't do actually is put in any steps for now. I'll just leave it be, and then when I get up tomorrow we'll step climb once or twice. I just certainly should have flaps up now. That would be why we're not accelerating. So there come flaps up. Now we'll finish acceleration. That's why you fly the airplane and not look out the window. But it's too good not to look today. We're gonna have a view of a couple of man-made islands of Dubai. That would be Dubai right up there. Doesn't look like we'll probably get the skyline to load in from this far out in this high altitude, but great views nonetheless. Well, alrighty guys, we are well on our way up to cruise altitude. Everything is set and cleaned up. Lights are off, fasten seatbelt signs off, finally got those flaps up. All is good. Been there around 7 minutes, which means we've got around 14 hours left to go to Washington. So I will leave you guys with a few images of the cruise portion of the flight. Should be pretty much entirely in the daytime here. We're expected to arrive about an hour before sunset, hour and a half before sunset into Washington. So the sun's going to be chasing us westbound, but we should more or less beat it. So I'll leave it there, and I will talk to you guys shortly just prior to our descent into Washington. Hello guys, welcome back. As you can see, we are now established in our descent down towards Washington Dulles. Just passed through 15,000 feet here, and we're still on our initially planned arrival for runway 1 right. Winds have shifted a little bit. Still out of kind of the east-southeast, so it's going to be kind of like a quarter-inch tailwind on landing, but very, very light, just 3 knots. So I'm not really concerned about it. We're just going to continue what we planned, given the lack of air traffic control for us today, since we're flying offline. So up here on our navigation display, we can see that we're just about to start making that left turn to parallel our runway, which is just about there. Airplane has overall handled that VNAV path on the descent pretty well. Just kind of, I don't know, did something there and decided we're a little bit high, but it looks like it's correcting for that. And we should be slowing down shortly. It's a beautiful day here on the eastern seaboard of the United States. Generally just some of these little bit higher level clouds. There's a snowstorm off to the west that will be moving into this area a little bit later today and tonight, but we're gonna certainly beat that in on our landing today. Been in the air about 13 and a half hours, so looks like we're gonna get in a few minutes early. Our scheduled block time was about 14 and a half. So after we land and pull into the gate, looking like 30 or so minutes early, which is obviously a great thing for our passengers. But other than that, it looks like it should be pretty straightforward on landing. Everything's already been set up in terms of auto brake setting, minimums on the approach. We've double checked our frequency is in. We completed the descent and approach checklist, so just have the landing to go. So we're pretty much set to go here. Certainly is beautiful out there. Wow, the shadows with those clouds on the train look fantastic. Nearing 10,000 feet here, we'll flip the landing lights on at that point. We already have the passenger signs on, and somehow external powers are on. Maybe I forgot to flip those off. Obviously, I believe that would give you a fault in the real world if you have those switches on and weren't actually connected. But anyways, everything looks to be set up for our landing. Let's see what the VNAV wants to do in terms of speed. So it should be slowing us down, obviously, shortly here to 250. Right around this fix when we make our left turn there, and that'll get us to 250 below 10,000. So hopefully, yep, there it goes, down to 240 actually, for some reason, even though the FMS says 250, but either way, as long as we get down below 250 by 10,000 feet. We're technically right about 10,000 feet above ground level or above airport elevation at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and flip those landing lights on. Slowed down nicely below 250, no issues there. Double check here, make sure nothing's changed with our VREF speed, so that looks good at 150, which means our actual approach speed we'll plan on 155 with flaps 30. Start bringing our range here. Looks like a relatively tight kind of distance between where this arrival comes and the runway center line. So it looks like we'll have to kind of swing it around pretty pretty quickly in order to not overshoot that localizer. This is the longest long haul I've done in quite a while. Several months ago, in fact, probably almost a year ago, I did do a New York JFK to Hong Kong flight, and that one worked out well as well. I did have some performance degradation over time, like I was like 15 or 20 FPS less than departure by the time I arrived. So far, so good on this one. It seems, if you look in the top left, we're still sitting right around 60 FPS most of the time, so that's great. I really like the stability of this simulator, at least for me. I know some people still deal with crash to desktops and stuff, but I seem to have kind of ironed out most of those issues. For me, I very rarely have one, so that's nice. Can't wait for the PMDG 777, like I've been talking about, for those long hauls. Never have to worry about out of memories like you did in P3D or anything like that. I know that's a little less common these days, given all the changes Lockheed Martin has made with 64-bit. I mean, that's been years since that, but some of the other changes as well. However, the visuals of this sim, and also not having to worry about crash to desktops most of the time or out of memory or anything like that, is great to see. Gotta love the 787 wing flex. And also, for those of you wondering, ground textures are from Rex AccuSeason. So for this portion of the globe, the northern hemisphere, here in February, it's kind of on the winter trees and textures. So that definitely makes a big difference in terms of accuracy and what the environment looks like when you fly. So I can't honestly recommend that enough. It's kind of all automated, and it just is so easy. You just set your options, set it, forget it, and it will adjust things and make the sim look a lot more accurate to the season, so where you're flying. It's not perfect, kind of a built-in season system, which I think they're planning to add at least in MSFS 2024. Maybe better if it's kind of native, but for what we've got, it certainly makes a big difference. And I couldn't fly without it, especially in the winter time, or at least when you're flying to areas where it's currently winter. Looks like the VNav has given us a really nice shallow descent on this arrival. Sometimes, I know I mentioned in the past, sometimes the VNav will give you a pretty darn steep descent, so it's nice to have a shallow one. We're not going to have any trouble slowing down or getting down in time. You can see the airport in sight out there. You can see some of the approach lights for the southbound runways as we turn parallel here. See by our white diamond down here on the PFD that we are receiving our localizer signal, which is always good. Doesn't look like we're going to have any malfunctions or issues with that today. What a view. Gotta screenshot that. start slowing us down a little bit farther along here. So we'll just let VNav take it and do its thing for now. We'll go ahead and get a heading synced up. I think since that's so tight, we're just going to go ahead and turn to immediately to that 30-degree intercept heading. So we'll figure that real quick. Runway heading for runway 1 right is 011. So we're going to go 30 degrees to the left of that, which would be about 341. So we'll plan on that. I'm going to go ahead and load that in just so we don't have to spin the heading bug. Oops, there's some stutters. Spin the heading bug around when we're trying to make that turn. Would have been way faster to go the other way. I don't know why I decided to do it this way, but alright, 341 is set. As we try to decide how and when to make this turn, we don't have any altitude restrictions other than 4,000 here at Huzul. So we're going to be at 4,000 at all of these fixes. And if we look at our approach chart, would it be about 3,000 at Mosby, and then glide slope intercept as we have set on our MCP as 1,900 at our final approach fix of Waxen. So basically, we'll kind of just keep a watch on the glide slope diamond, see when that kind of flicks to the top, and then we'll probably make that turn. In fact, we may just forget about this restriction, especially if there's no ATC or anything. Not worry too much about it. We'll see, but I may, as soon as we're able, get that turn going and get ready to intercept, since we don't have air traffic control. Maybe some AI traffic. I've been flying near a fair bit on this descent. I don't actually see any right now, at least in the immediate vicinity of the airport, although it looks like nope, that's not a traffic. So as of now there's none, but we'll keep an eye on that. So with the wind direction, the traffic may be wanting to land on the opposite direction runway. There's some back behind us right under our wingtip that I can see. And they may be coming in for the other runway, so we'll be careful with that. I might just kind of shut off FSLTL or reset traffic injection once we're on a final. So level up 4,000. We really don't need to be slowing us down, or slowing ourselves down, I should say, too much at this point. We've got around 23 miles to run to the end of the arrival before the vectors, but like I said, we may cut off that a little earlier. Now these fixes, let's take a quick read here. Expect radar vectors to final approach course. So I assume at this point, given we don't have restrictions written on these fixes, that in the real world we'd probably be getting vectors and we may be below those altitudes. So pretty shortly here, I think what I'm going to do is just start that descent down to 1900 and we'll cut it in pretty close. We won't go all the way out, I don't think, to that fix. So that being said, let's go ahead and pull it into speed intervene and we'll start slowing it down a little more. We'll go down to 220. It's probably telling us we want to drag. That's fine. We should be fine. We'll have no problem getting down there. So we'll start with a slowdown to 220. We'll take flaps 1 here momentarily. There's Dulles. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and take flaps 1. I'm gonna go ahead and slow us to 200 at this point. We'll try and get a little bit ahead of it since we're gonna cut that turn a little bit shorter than we otherwise would. And we're gonna go into vertical speed mode and we'll start a nice gradual descent down to that 1900. Maybe a little quicker than that. We're gonna do 1,000 feet a minute. And I think we'll go ahead and take flaps 5 as well at this point. Here comes our glide slope, not needle, diamond. We're going to slow it back further here. We're going to take flaps probably 15 here momentarily. We can slow this descent a little bit, help us slow down, and we'll start that turn very shortly. In fact, we'll do that right now. Hit heading select, heading 340. And we'll hit Vorlock to arm the localizer. I may actually shallow this turn out a little bit, may have been, yeah, I think we're a little overzealous with that, so we're slow enough to give ourselves a little bit of a perpendicular kind of base leg here, so we'll go 280. And we're going to take flaps 15. There's 1900, and then we'll set our intercept heading. Make sure that stays back. Right around 340 should be good. Flying over a nice golf course. Alright, we're going to take gear down. We're going to slow down to 160. Go ahead and arm the speed brakes. There's localizer alive and captured, so we'll arm approach mode. That'll arm the glide slope. There's our runway in sight out in front of us. Gonna do a quick check here. Missed approach altitude. Climbing to 800, right turn to 3000, heading 060. So we'll set 3000 here shortly. There's the glide slope active. We'll go ahead and take flaps 20, and we're going to go ahead and bring it back to 155, which is our VREF speed. Beautiful. Here's glide slope captured. I'll set 3000. Get the rest of our lights on, and we are ready to go. We'll set flaps 30. Beautiful. And we'll go ahead and kick out the autopilot and take it manually. Do have a fair bit of a tailwind at this point. Gonna tighten my yoke clamps here a little bit. Alright. Looking good. Yeah, that wind's decreasing to very little at this point, so not gonna have to worry about any super strong tailwinds or anything like that. Glide path looks good. Turning a little bit low on that actual glide slope, but feels fine in terms of the PAPIs.
Minimums.
There's minimums. Continue. There's 3 reds. We're gonna increase pitch just a little bit.
40, 30, 20, 10.
And that was a bit firm, but that's alright. We'll activate reverse. Here's 60 knots, manual braking. And we'll exit right here. Get rid of the speed brakes. And flaps can come up as well. Blending lights, turn-offs, strobes can come off. What's going on with my throttle? Alright. But we do need to restart GSX so we can get our gate rolling. I believe we wanted, I'm going to come to a quick stop here. We'll take, I was under, it looks like there's an airplane other than United there. Yeah, we'll take a an alpha gate, whatever's available in terms of heavy gates. take Alpha 26. Which should be right up here on our right somewhere. Seems like I read somewhere that this terminal here, which is the Bravo and Charlie terminals, was just united here at Dulles. I'm not sure actually though if that could just be an FSLTL issue in terms of where it's putting the traffic, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Alright, we'll get the APU running. Everything else is more or less cleaned up. Right. Should be this third stand here between these two United 777s. Alright, we are stopped. Parking brake on. Go ahead and cut those engines. Fast seat belts can come off. Beacon can come off. Taxi light should have already been off. That's alright. We don't need the IRSs anymore. Window heats. Packs. Fuel pumps. And everything else is pretty much set other than we'll take ground power and don't need the APU anymore. Alright, well, we are on the ground here at Dulles. We'll go ahead and have GSX start the deboarding process. I can't see the clock for our official time, but it was somewhere right around 14 hours, maybe a couple minutes more. So, into Dulles here a little bit early. Jump back out to our drone cam here and straighten it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this flight. I know I certainly did. I think ultimately I'm kind of a long haul guy at heart. Definitely done lots of short haul stuff as well, but when I got the time, there's just nothing like a good long haul, ultra long haul. So, well, as always, Appreciate you guys tuning in. Feel free to leave suggestions, likes, comments, subscriptions, anything like that down below. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and finish up this flight, and I'll hope to see you guys in the next one.